what I just heard?
It's the Cooper and Anthony Show.
I've heard of them. They're famous.
That's right, Mike, they are.
Now, we all know at some point there is going to be a zombie apocalypse.
Are we doing this again? Of course there's not going to be a zombie apocalypse. We just, not after a pandemic. You can't have a pandemic and then a zombie apocalypse, can you?
No, that's because that's how we're going to have it, is you get the shot, and the shot's going to turn you into a zombie. It's going to happen.
We'd all be zombies already. We already had the shot.
No, it's going to take 4 shots, and 4 shots turn you into a zombie.
Okay, this is science.
No, this is me.
Okay.
I'm thinking ahead. There's so many movies about zombies, and you look at zombies and go, that could happen. It could happen.
Do you? You look at zombies and think that could happen?
Yeah, because they're supposed to be dead, but their body just isn't dead yet. And it hasn't told their brain that they're dead, and they're just walking around, and they're hungry.
Right. Listen, I'm always hungry. I'm hungry as a human. I'm going to be hungry as a zombie.
Okay, so if you died right now, you would still walk around for a good week and a half looking for food.
You kidding? Of course.
So when the undead happens, right before it happens, here are the places to move to.
Oh, okay.
Alaska.
Now, this is if I'm a zombie where the most food is, or this is if I'm still human?
If you're not a zombie and you want to get away from zombies, you don't want your brain to be eaten, you should go to Alaska. Because
why?
There's not that many people. There's not that many graves. And they have to dig up through ice and snow. They're just not going to do it.
I see. So the zombies in Alaska are going to be like, oh, screw this. I'm just going to stay dead.
Right. And there's actually a casino site putting odds where the best place to live. And Alaska comes up number 1. So that's the best place to live when a zombie apocalypse happens. Wyoming is a good place.
Right. Lots of big open space there.
Not many cemeteries. Not that many dead people. Wyoming.
Well, also, if you're in Wyoming, because it's such big open space, you can see them coming miles away, and they're slow. You can get away pretty fast.
Yeah, they usually don't run. They run in Day of the Dead, the new TV show. But that's the only time. All the other shows that you see, they walk really slow and really kind of fucked up. You know how they just drag one leg because they're dead. Nevada is another one. That's a good place to live.
Yeah.
Hawaii. Because not many dead people on Hawaii.
It's hard to get to the different islands in Hawaii. So if you're a zombie, how are you going to get to Maui? How are you going to get to Honolulu? How are you going to get on the water? You can't walk on the water.
No, they walk in the water because they don't need to breathe. There was a Pirates of the Caribbean where the dead walked along the bottom of the ocean and got to the other side because they don't breathe. So it really doesn't matter. They can just walk in water.
Got it.
And last place to move to, Delaware.
Because no one's really heard of it and really knows anything about Delaware. So.
And nobody knows where it is, and there's not that many
no one
dead
knows
people.
Where it is.
Pretty small. Good place to live. Now, where's the worst place to be during a zombie apocalypse?
It's got to be New York.
It is Cooper Lawrence's apartment. Yeah, New York would be ground zero for a zombie apocalypse. Nearly 12.7 million bodies are buried in the some 7,000 cemeteries.
Yeah, and a lot of the cemeteries surround New York and the 5 boroughs. Like as you drive around, it's like cemeteries. You just drive over them, you drive through them. You and I, when we were on Long Island, we kept driving past how many cemeteries just to go to the dentist.
And they're not small. They're massive. I mean, you fly over one, you go, oh my, that's a huge cemetery. And don't think you're going to Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Connecticut, because those are bad too. Those all rank in the top 10 worst places to live when zombie apocalypse happens.
But the problem with the zombie apocalypse, if it came to New York, and I'm telling you this as a New Yorker who's lived here for enough years that I've seen the progression, not a lot of brains here.
And the rats would probably eat them before they had a chance to eat you.
Yeah.
You're not in a good place.
No, I'm not in a good place. Yeah.
Because they're not going to stop at a red light. They're not going to stop at the crosswalks. They're just going to walk right through them. And then the people on the city bikes are going to run over them. It's not a good place to be. You'd rather
We're very intolerant here.
Yeah, Wyoming. Wyoming is the place you need to go, in Alaska.
What's going on here anyway?
It's the Cooper and Anthony Show.
So until my boyfriend started dating me, he was one of those people that was living off the grid. And it might seem weird to live off the grid when you're in New York City, but he found a way to do it. He found a way to be like off the grid and living in a big city like this.
How would you even do that?
Didn't have a credit card. Everything he did was cash. He got paid in cash. He paid in cash. He got paid in cash. The larger company that he worked for filed taxes on his behalf.
Mm-hmm.
So when he filed taxes, he didn't have to actually do it. The company did it for him. Do you know what I mean? So he didn't actually have to do very much. I mean, I guess for taxes, you're not really off the grid, but let's put that aside. The rest of the living that he did, totally off the grid.
So he didn't have bills like internet, phone.
Nope.
He
Did not have the phone he had was through his work, so it wasn't in his name, and they gave him a phone. Didn't have to worry about that. He didn't have a television, so he didn't need cable.
Didn't have a car.
Didn't have a car. The electric came with his apartment, and the only thing he had was his apartment, but he paid rent every month in cash.
Mm-hmm.
So he was basically living off the grid. He was pretty good. This is when I met him. I mean, now he's fully on the grid like the rest of us because I need stuff. You know, you got to sign up for stuff when you're with me.
Yeah, he's got an eBay account and everything now. So
yes, eBay,
he's
Netflix, you name it.
On the grid, people know all about him.
Yeah, he is the grid now. He's officially the grid. But they have a list now. Lawn Starter put out a list of the best states to live off the grid for 2022. So if for the past year or so, you've thought to yourself, you know, I'm working from home. It's been COVID. What am I doing on the grid? Well, here's what they did. First of all, just so you understand before I tell you what the states are. So the way they figured out what is living off the grid and what isn't, like what makes a state good. Okay. First thing they looked at is electric, water. You know, can you live off the grid and still get electricity and get water and, you know, have a place to throw your trash?
Mm-hmm.
So there's stuff like that. Then they looked at infrastructure stuff like phone coverage. You know, can you live off the grid and still have a cell phone or a burner phone or something like that? The road qualities they looked at. They looked at solar power, wind power. You know, a lot of people who live off the grid need the solar and the wind because they're not going to use actual electricity. Cost, like average per acre, property taxes. They looked at climate and looked at safety. Okay, so those are all the criteria they looked at. And they came up with the best states to live off the grid.
North Carolina.
North Carolina is not in the top 15.
See, I'm thinking it's somewhere like the mountains of North Carolina, the mountains of Kentucky, Tennessee, because a lot of people live off the grid anyway in those parts of the world. Yeah,
I'm surprised North Carolina didn't make the list because when I went to Asheville, I was like, does anyone know?
That whole city's off the grid.
Exactly. I was like, does anybody know that there's a city here and there's people here? Like, who are these people? Yeah, no, it's interesting. No, North Carolina didn't make the top or the bottom of the list. Yeah. Okay. So let's see, the top 10, Missouri. Missouri apparently is a great place to live off the grid. They looked at highest 5-year projected growth in solar power and lowest. So like Alaska was the lowest and Texas was the highest.
Because they get the most sun.
Yeah, exactly. So that means Alaska didn't even make the list and Texas is actually number 1.
Well, Alaska, the problem is the sun doesn't come out for like 3 weeks. There's no sun. Right. So it's really hard to get.
Right. There's no solar power because there's no solar.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's interesting that so here's this top 10. Missouri's number 10, New Mexico number 9, Minnesota number 7, tied with Oklahoma, Kentucky number 6, Iowa number 5, Montana number 4, Wyoming number 3, North Dakota number 2, and the number 1 was Texas, which is really interesting. Texas is the number 1 place to live off the grid?
Because the only really, you got Austin, you have Dallas, and you have Houston, but everything else in Texas is not that. It's just vast lands of nothingness.
Right.
Texas is huge
right, you
state.
can hide. Yeah,
Right.
it's easy to hide somewhere in Texas.
Yeah, it's
I thought that was
massive.
really surprising.
And it sits on the sun. So if you want solar power, you got a bunch of it.
However, if you want to live off the grid because you want to be antisocial, then Alaska's number 1. They said that if you're not into small talk, America's northmost state will happily indulge your antisocial tendencies. Alaska is not great for off the grid lifestyle, or it's not very friendly, but that's the whole point. That you can live there alone, that you can go, kind of be a hermit there pretty easily.
It's hard to grow your own food, but you can hunt and fish. But as far as growing your own food, you're not doing it there.
Right. Yeah. So self-sufficiency is critical to an off-the-grid lifestyle. So all the states that I mentioned, the top 10, it's because you can be self-sufficient. You don't need electric. You don't need roads and services. You can pretty much, I don't know if I'd want to live off the grid. I don't even like when I have to be in my apartment alone for the day.
Yeah, you wouldn't do it. I mean, you're not a camping person.
No.
So if you're a camping person, you can say, I could do that all day long. No, there's no way I can do that. I mean, for dinner tonight, instead of, making my own food, I went through a drive-through.
Right. Right.
I'm just too lazy.
Yeah. You'd have to shoot something.
That's not going to happen.
Right.
Because I don't know how to clean it.
You have to shoot, skin, cook, fish.
No, I can't do that.
Yeah, you can't fish.
I wouldn't know. I think I know how to clean a fish, but I don't want to touch a fish.
Right.
I think it's icky. When I get the salmon with the skin on it, I freak out.
Right.
Because it looks like a snake, and I don't want to touch it.
I need to be close to a Domino's and a Starbucks. Can you live off the grid and
No.
order in?
No, as soon as you say Starbucks, that's not off the grid.
That's the grid.
That's where
Right.
the grid begins, is at Starbucks, and then it ends at cleaning your salmon. No, if I had to clean a fish, you put a fish in, I don't know what to do.
I could easily live off the grid for in the not showering aspect of things. I could not shower for a couple of days. I'd be good with that.
Yeah, that's 1/1000th of the off the grid living. Then you have to do other things. You're not good. You are definitely not the person for that.
Yeah, but what happens if I see a murder and then I have to testify and then I have to go into witness protection? If you're in witness protection, that is the ultimate off the grid.
No, they put you in Houston and change your name. That's what they do. Yeah. They cut your hair and they call you Robin, and you're living somewhere else.
Right. Suddenly I'm a blonde. Anyway, so if your plan for 2022 is to live off the grid, but see, now that they've said this, everyone's moving to Texas to live off the grid. So it's now it's making its own.
Texas.
Yeah, no, but now it's
Texas hasn't had the greatest news lately. Nobody's
That's true.
moving to Texas. Nobody's waking up one morning and go, I think I want to move to Texas.
That's a good point.
you move any other place but Texas.
Iowa, Missouri. There you go.
You can move there.
But now the list is out. Everyone's going to be going. So you're going to show up and be like, oh, look, the wide open. What the heck? Who are all these people?
Yeah, I think living off the grid was so 20 years ago. I think you got to have Wi-Fi now. Nobody's talking about living off the grid anymore because you don't have Wi-Fi. And that's the problem.
Right.
You look at people like the Amish and go, how the hell do you do that?
They don't have Netflix. They don't know what they're missing. I'm telling you.
Name the one you have chosen.
Goes by the name of
It's Cooper and Anthony.
We got a listener email.
Great. Is it good or bad?
No. It's somebody asking for advice. Once in a while we like to give advice, and it's somebody who thought that you and I would be good people to ask about their relationships, their social life.
They send you advice. They send me, I hate you, you suck, go away. So when I hear listener email, I go, oh, shit. What did you say? What did I say? Who we pissed off?
Anthony sucks.
Yeah.
But Cooper, I'm dating this guy, and
yeah, what do I do? So what's your advice?
Okay, so here is what she wants to know. This is our listener, Lisa. She said she's been dating a guy for a year, and he recently bought a new house. And she spent the night, and in the morning, he got up to go to work. She had the day off, so he was gone when she woke up. She wanted to run out for breakfast, and she was planning on coming back after breakfast. So he was like, yeah, not a problem. I'll leave you a key, because he was like, she said, like, should I leave the back door open and just come in and out? He's like, no, I'll leave you a key. Just grab the spare key. It's good. Mm-hmm. So now she has a spare key. Mm-hmm. So that was last week, and he never asked for the key back. Mm-hmm. So she was thinking of surprising him when he gets off work. A house full of candles, her naked with nothing on but a tie, laying across like the couch, the dining room table, something like that. My friends think this is a terrible idea, but I disagree. It's sexy. It's spontaneous. My girlfriends think I'm abusing my privileges of having the key, but is any guy on earth going to feel like a naked woman on their dining room table or couch is an abuse of privilege? Yes. Really? Like,
yes.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I think you're wacky. We just started dating?
Yeah.
And you're going to do that? No. I mean, we ain't exclusive. You think we are, but we're not. I gave you a key because I didn't want you sticking around all day. And don't surprise me naked in my house because I'm bringing somebody else home. Until we say we're exclusive, don't show up naked at my house.
But he gave her a key.
Because he didn't want her to stay there all day. He wanted her out of the house.
Okay, but he never asked for the key back, is what I'm saying.
Well, that's because he's a dumbass. But until you say we're exclusive, you don't pull stuff like that.
I feel like that's a nice surprise. I feel like a guy after a long day, especially a girl that he just started having sex with, and it's like it's unexpected. It's a surprise. I love stuff like that. Like, when you first start banging somebody and you show up at their house, with like you're naked, except you're wearing a coat over it, and you're like, you flash them, and then you start having sex. It's that kind of thing. I think it's a great idea. I don't see any problem with this.
No, you think you're the only one? You're one of 7. I hate to tell you. So I don't want that until we have that conversation. Once you have that conversation of we are exclusive and I'm only seeing you and you're only seeing me, then you can do all that crazy stuff you want. But up until that point, nope. Don't want it.
No, but who said she wants anything serious with him? She's enjoying having sex with him, and she thought that would be like a nice spontaneous way to have sex. Like, that could be fun. In fact, I think the way to do it is this. I think don't just randomly show up at his house on a night after work. Because what if he goes for drinks after work? What if he works late? Like, you have to be sure that it's a night he's going to be coming home from work, that he's going to be around. So I think maybe prearrange, like, hey, what are you doing tonight? Kind of thing. I mean, you don't want to blow the surprise, but I think the surprise is that he comes home, you're already there.
Yeah, I think if you have to make that call to let him know, because if not, he could be walking in with somebody else and you're laying naked in his house. And now he's got to explain to his other girlfriend who the hell you are.
I think I would do this. I think I would text him during the day and be like, something sexy like can't stop thinking about you, or a fun was that the other night, or want to hook up tonight, something like that. Something where you're kind of like, hey, you want to hook up tonight? And if he's like, yeah, totally down with it, then that means he's not bringing anybody home. And then you can go over and surprise him.
Yeah. Never surprise a guy until you're engaged or you have that conversation or you're married. It's not going to turn out well.
Yeah, but then it's not a surprise. Then it's not fun. Then it's not like it's not
going to be a
sexy
very
then.
big surprise when I bring two girls in at the same time.
If you're already dating somebody and you're in a relationship, showing up at their house naked is like, oh, look, it's you again.
It's a bad idea.
Naked. No,
It's not a good idea.
I think it's a great idea. Just make sure that you have plans with him that night. That's all.
Mm-hmm. And her next email is Cooper. I did it, and he showed up with a hooker, and I don't know what to do now. And you the worst advice ever. Thanks. You ruined my life.
No, I don't want to be with somebody that can't be spontaneous. I'm sorry. If you can't be spontaneous, then it's not a good fit. Like, I'd rather find that out early. Like, if I'm a spontaneous person, if I'm somebody who's like really impulsive like that, you know what I mean? Like, I dated this one guy once. He was really, really totally impulsive. Like, I mean, sex in restaurant bathrooms, backseat of cars, like, you know, you just show up in the middle of the night, like whatever. I liked that. Like, it was good with him. I don't know that I'm necessarily like that now, but certainly then I was. So I don't know. That's kind of a deal breaker if somebody can't be impulsive.
No, have that conversation first. If you do that before we have that conversation, you're crazy in my world.
No, but then it's not a surprise.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We have to have that conversation of we're only dating each other. Then you can do whatever you want. Game on. Put swings in my house. I care less. But let's have that conversation first. Up until that point, I only dated you once. You showed up at my house naked. I'm scared to death of you and I'm running.
No, they didn't only date once. That's not what she said. No, she's been dating this guy for almost a year.
Oh, well, if they've been dating for a year, that's different.
And
I'm thinking I've been on a couple of dates.
No, sorry. My bad. Been dating this guy for nearly a year. He just recently bought a new house.
Oh, okay.
I spent the night last week. In the morning, he got up to go to work.
They've had the conversation of they better have. You're not going to date somebody for a year and not have that conversation.
But before he was living, let's say, with roommates and she was living at home. So now it's his own house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, then that's fine.
Yeah.
If it's a couple of dates, not fine. If it's a year, fine. Then you can. But it's been a year and he just now gave you a key?
He just bought the house. It's a new house.
Did he have, I wonder if he gave her the key to his old apartment.
No, he might have been living with roommates. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he was living at home with his parents, not going to show up naked with his parents sitting at the kitchen table.
He was living at home with his wife and kids. That's what he's doing.
I see.
And he bought another place that he can go hang out on Wednesdays and Thursdays with you. And then he goes home and lives with his wife. So, no, don't show up in his house naked because his wife might not like it.
Okay, there's your advice, Lisa.
Come on, bitches. It's the Cooper and Anthony Show.
So I'm going to need to hear it. Come now.
Hi, Renee.
Hey!
How are ya?
Doing great. Love your show.
Oh, thank you. And what is a coincidence exactly? Explain to Anthony what a coincidence is.
A coincidence is like when someone tells you about something, or when something you will do something, and then out of the blue somebody does the same thing, or you're just talking about some kind of car, and then all of a sudden
it drives by.
Yeah, in Chicago we call that freaky.
Well,
Dude, that was
But
freaky.
no, Renee, that's a very good example. That is a good definition of coincidence. Now, have you had a wacky coincidence happen in your life?
yes, my daughter and I are like peas in a pod. We're one and the same. We look alike. We act alike. We talk alike. Everybody thinks, tells us how much alike we are.
Mm-hmm.
College, and she constantly is calling home all the time. When she calls home after her psych class all the time to tell me all the weird, wacky stuff they study.
Mm-hmm.
3 different times now they studied Ted Bundy. That night she called and went on and on about that. Well, I'm a night owl, so I'm up 1, 2 o'clock in the morning watching Discovery Channel, and what comes on but the Ted Bundy story?
Now, that's a coincidence. See, Anthony, do you understand? That's a
freaky.
coincidence.
And then calls the next week and tells me about studying about the Iceman. What happens that night?
It gets cold. No way!
Man, then the next morning, Montel has his family on. So then, this past week, they're doing their presentations and all this for their last classes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, her friend had the set of twins that was born male, and during circumcision, one of them had an accident, and they turned him into a female, and his life and all that. What am I doing Friday night after this test he has? Watching TV, and what comes on? The two twins.
Whoa.
Every time she tries to tell me something or calls home about something, it happens. And it's not just with that. It's just
Like all kinds of stuff. It's like you guys have a psychic connection, too. It's so weird.
just coincidence after coincidence. So that is a coincidence, Anthony.
Okay.
Do you understand, Anthony?
Yeah.
And it's common when it happens between people who are close, who love each other, who have a good relationship, because there's something like they're on the same wavelength. They could be on two different ends of the country and have the same thought at the same time, or something could happen to them both at the same time. That's exactly the same.
How about if I run into somebody that Chad went to school in California?
That's a coincidence too.
Oh, okay.
If you
the
know,
fact that you would run into somebody in California that knows me,
right?
That's
South
a
Dakota.
coincidence.
Okay.
That's a coincidence.
I'm
see?
getting close.
But coincidences don't have to be about running into somebody from a different place.
But the thing is, we're going to talk to Julie next, and it's going to completely confuse you. Hi, Julie. How are you?
Doing great. How are you guys doing?
Good. Now, what kind of wacky coincidence have you had?
When I was stationed in the Marine Corps, I was sent to Okinawa, Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And on my way back home for leave, I had to go to one of the airports, and I met my high school boyfriend there that we hadn't seen each other in 10 years.
Whoa.
And I met his wife and his daughter on our trip back home.
In Japan?
In Japan.
Wow. What was he doing there?
He was I believe at the time he was a captain in the Air Force.
Wow. And you had no idea that he was also going to be there. You had no idea that he was in the Air Force. You didn't know any of that about him.
No. And we just, you kind of look at somebody and you're like, God, I think I know you. And then at the same time we were like, wow.
Right. And then you're like, and we're in Japan of all places.
Exactly. And then he's like, honey, this is Julie, my high school girlfriend. I was like, Matt, you don't do that.
Even in Japan.
Of course, I got the evil eye, so.
See, that's a coincidence. See, understand, Anthony? Thank you, Julie. Do you understand, Anthony? When something happens out of context, when you're
if
in
I'm
another...
in Canada and I run into somebody that knows Sean Lee.
That's a coincidence.
Okay.
Well, yeah, if you guys make the
there.
connection, right. So if you're in Canada talking to...
one of your MySpace people.
One of our MySpace people.
Okay.
And you start talking and you figure out that they know you from MySpace and that they know Sean Lee. And you know Sean Lee. See what I'm saying?
Okay.
Coincidence. That's a coincidence.
Or here's a coincidence. Let's say you're walking down the streets in Charlotte, North Carolina, talking to your buddy about how much you like Jake Delhomme. You're around the corner and boom, he's standing right there.
Yeah.
That's
there
a
you
coincidence.
go. That's a coincidence.
Eating fried chicken.
Right.
Because that's what Jake would be doing.
It would be.
Right.
Yes.
Or if you just said, gee, I can picture Jake Delhomme eating fried chicken, and you turn around and there he is eating fried chicken.
Right.
Yeah, that's a coincidence.
Agree with that, Pete.
The fried chicken part?
Yes.
Yes, of course. I knew that's what you were talking. I knew that's exactly what you meant. Hi, Angel. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
Good. Now, what weird coincidence happened to you?
Well, I live in North Carolina, and all my dad's side of the family lives in New York.
Mm.
And one time, my family and I were visiting my mom's family in Florida, and we always would go to Disney World.
Mm-hmm.
So we were at Disney World for the day, and in the Magic Kingdom, there's like the little boat that you can ride over onto Tom Sawyer's Island. And so we were over there on Tom Sawyer's Island, and we bumped into my cousins and my dad's whole other side of the family, and they were from New York, and we had no idea that they were going to be there, and it was pretty cool. It's kind of like
And did you say, wow, what a weird coincidence?
What a weird coincidence. We got to take a family vacation together.
And you didn't even mean to.
We didn't plan it. Yeah, it was great.
That's great. Now, you get it, Anthony? You're starting to catch on here?
Yeah.
He doesn't sound convinced.
Yeah, he's not convinced. Because it's not only
It's always about running into people.
it's not always about that, though. That's not the only. There's other ones.
If I'm
too.
at Fuddruckers and Chad walks in.
That's not a coincidence.
That's not really
That's very predictable that's
Yeah.
going to happen.
That's likely.
If you were on vacation in Seattle and I walked into the one there, that would be a coincidence.
But
yeah.
it's still, again, be highly likely.
Well, yeah,
right,
I
that's
guess.
true too. Now Eric is going to further confuse you because he's going to tell you another coincidence about running into somebody. So, but there's other coincidences out there. We'll get to them in a minute. Hi, Eric. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Now, what coincidence did you have?
Well, I have kind of two going on right now. One, I was driving home, and I stopped hitting the seek button so I could have a cigarette, and I came across you guys talking about South Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
So I started listening. And then I heard all the calls about everything and told me to tell you a coincidence, and that was one. Two, I myself am from South Dakota. I just moved to Greenville, South Carolina, and my neighbors are actually from the same hometown I'm from.
Wait, and you had no idea when you moved in? You didn't know them? You didn't know they were there?
Nope, I had no clue that they were there.
And Chad on our show is from South Dakota.
That's what he said. That's kind of cool, too.
Do you know him? Because South Dakota's small.
Yeah, there's
It
only
is
like
very
4 people.
small, but it's a lot bigger than you think.
What's the town you're from in South Dakota?
I'm from the Sioux Falls area.
And Chad? Where's Chad from? I forgot.
I don't know.
Oh.
Some part of South Dakota.
Some part of South Dakota.
With cows.
With cows. Did you have cows? Did you have cows, Eric?
Yep.
Okay.
then they probably live right next door. That's my guess. Well, Eric, welcome. Welcome to the neighborhood.
Well, thank you.
See, now that, Anthony, you getting it now? See, the coincidence is not even so much that it's the fact
It's
that
a South Dakota thing.
I'm from a town called Winner, which describes me.
Winner.
Winner?
Yeah, because I'm a winner.
Wait a minute. There's really a town called Winner, and
Yes.
you're from there?
Yes, I am.
That's a coincidence.
No, it's not.
Because you're not a winner. No, you are. You're a winner.
No, I think John has a different sort of coincidence, Anthony. You might understand this one.
Okay, now, John, this may confuse him, so talk slow.
Hey, I'll do anyway.
Okay.
You saw somebody you knew in North Dakota. Wow.
No, actually, it was in Jamaica.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So what was your coincidence?
Well, me and my wife were in Jamaica last year, and we were laying on the beach, and I was reading Anthony Bourdain's latest book. You know, the chef, the guy on TV?
We love him. No reservations.
Yeah. All right. Well, the book I was reading is called The Nasty Bits. It's a great book. You need to read it. Anyway, I'm sitting there reading it, and I look up, and he walks by.
No!
On the beach.
See, that's just freaky.
That's a coincidence.
It's freaky.
Do you understand, Anthony? That is the perfect coincidence. He's reading the guy's book, and
I told my wife, I said, look, that's Anthony Bourdain. She says, no, it's not. And I said, watch this. I'm going to go buy him a beer. And I did.
Wait, you went and bought him a beer? Was he cool about it?
Oh, yeah, he's the greatest guy.
You tell him I was reading your book? Did you say that?
Yeah, it was laying right there on my chair.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, well, Sean Lee loves him. He's a really, really cool guy. That's a great coincidence. Thank you, John.
All right.
See, now that's very interesting, right?
I get it now. If I'm in Jamaica.
Right. And you're reading Anthony Bourdain's book, it'll make him
Chad
walk
walks by. That's a
and
coincidence.
Chad walks by.
That would be a coincidence.
Right. Hi, Daniel. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you guys?
We're pretty good. Anthony's a little confused, but the rest of us here are okay.
Okay. I have a coincidence for you guys.
Let's hear.
I was going to school in California, and my friend from Statesville, he said, I have a friend that lives in California, and I went on a trip with her on a missions trip. I said, oh, okay, whatever, you know. So I get to California, I start volunteering at one of their high schools.
Mm-hmm.
And the first week I was there, I met his friend. She's like, where are you from? I said, North Carolina. She said, I have a friend named Kyle from there. Wow, that's like one of my best friends.
Oh my gosh! See, that's a great example for a coincidence.
And on the James Dean car,
yeah.
I don't know if you guys heard about this, but about 3 or 4 years ago, the storage facility it was stored in was burned down.
No.
Whoa. Okay, that's freaky. Now I'm up to freaky.
Yeah.
What a coincidence.
Anthony.
Now you're understanding, Anthony.
You are. You're very good, Anthony. Anthony learned a new word today.
Oh, wow. I still don't know how to spell it, but I learned it.
Okay, we're talking about kind of odd coincidences. What kind of weird, odd coincidence happened in your life? Hey, Ken, how are you?
Taking in, Cooper.
I like that it's Monday and you've called because now I know you're okay.
Well, I survived the weekend anyway.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's all I need to know. So now what kind of weird coincidence happened to you, my dear?
Well, I have weird coincidences all the time, though.
I think you've weird lots of stuff all the time.
My life's weird, so.
Right.
one thing, I'll be thinking about a buddy of mine that I hadn't talked to, or an old friend that I hadn't talked to in years, and hadn't seen him, talked to him, nothing. And then all of a sudden, out of the clear blue, they'll call or show up at the back door.
Now, I think that's a coincidence. Chad said that's a premonition, but I think that's a coincidence.
Okay, now, what Chad's talking about is the other thing, about the premonition.
Yeah, what?
Well, last year we were on vacation, and on Thursday night, while we were at the condo, I kept telling my wife, I said, something's telling me I need to go to the house.
Mm-hmm.
She said, what do you mean? I said, I don't know. I said, just something tells me I need to go to the house. And she said, well, go on if you think you need to go. I said, nah, too far down there. I'll just wait. Well, I didn't go. When I got home, found out somebody got in the house that night and stole a bunch of stuff.
Whoa. You had a feeling that somebody was in your house, and you were right.
Oh,
whoa.
Stole the whole man. What it was, the funny thing was, the stuff that they stole, like, is youngins. The stuff that they stole was not, nothing that really mattered or made any difference.
Right.
But it was just, some of the stuff where they got it from, I ain't figured out how they even knew it was there.
Right. But the fact that you knew they were there, that's the weird thing.
Mm-hmm. But I get stuff like that all the time.
See, this might confuse Anthony now, because we were trying to show him what a coincidence is, but this is kind of a premonition. It's somewhere in between premonition and coincidence.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, we might have confused Anthony completely now.
Confused.
He's confused. Look at him over there, poor thing. He looks so cute and stupid.
So if I'm in South Dakota and I run into Chad, but somebody's breaking into Ken's house at the beach when he's in a condo, that's a premonition.
Yeah.
Right, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you got it.
Though, but I get stuff like that all the time. I mean, when me and my ex-wife were together, she used to fuss when we go on vacation. She didn't want to go nowhere because we'd always run into somebody I know, especially at the beach. So I let her pick out the beach one year to go. Off the coast of North Carolina, someplace I'd never been, never even seen the place. Went in there, been there 20 minutes, checked into the motel, went down to a restaurant to eat, walked in the door, and everything was going fine. Opened the door, walked in, and when I walked in the door, there was 20 people in the corner stood up and yelled my name.
Oh, my God.
Now, that's a coincidence, Anthony.
Now,
That's a coincidence. Right. Thank you, Ken. That's a good coincidence.
If I yelled the name Ken at the beach.
Right.
And
now,
Chad hears it.
Erica, what's another type of coincidence that you can have?
Well, my coincidence is kind of interesting to me because I ended up meeting someone who I didn't even know was a member of my family.
Oh, what happened?
I went with my roommate up to her hometown, which is in northern Indiana, and we went and saw her best friend. And we all got to talking, and she asked me where I was from, and I told her what town I was from, and she said, "Oh my gosh, well you may know my uncle. He lives in that town. His son recently died." And she told me his son's name, and I said, "Oh my God, that's my stepdad."
Oh my God! So her uncle is your stepdad?
Yeah, it was like we were cousins. Well, sort of cousins, but
yeah. Wow. That's amazing. That's quite a coincidence. Now that's a good coincidence. That's a good example of a coincidence.
So what state was this?
Indiana.
Oh, okay.
Wait,
no, Erica, so do you keep in touch with her? Have you remained friends?
Yeah, actually, she's on MySpace with me.
Oh, very important.
And her family comes down and visits my stepdad, and we go out and hang out because we're around the same age. And her name's Erica, too, crazily.
See, that's another coincidence. See, this is coincidence after coincidence, I think. And even more, a better coincidence is if you both friend me on MySpace. That should happen, I think.
Right now.
Yeah. It's MySpace / Cooper Lawrence Show.
Or go to CooperLawrenceShow.com and click on it.
That's true. You can link us there, so make sure you're friends.
Right.
Thank you, Erica. And Erica, if you're listening.
And they talked about MySpace, and you're on MySpace.
Oh, it's a weird coincidence.
Okay.
Actually, we have a MySpace coincidence coming up in just a minute.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm waiting for
wow.
that. Yeah, I'm waiting for that one. Hi, Shirley. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good. Now, what kind of weird coincidence happened to you?
Well, mine's going to be better. It's like the freaky coincidence.
Ooh, I love it. Go.
Can you turn your radio off, please?
My mom cut her finger off 10 years ago. Well, 10 years before. And then 10 years later, I cut off the same finger.
No!
The next one.
You did? Because, for what reason?
Well, I didn't do it on purpose.
Oh, okay.
My mom got hers caught in a lawnmower, and I got mine cut in a saw.
All the way off?
And, well, down to the third knuckle.
Wow.
And what's weird is in between there, my daughter, when she was 2, dropped the saw and cut her toe off.
That's weird. Those are really weird coincidences.
I said that's a freaky coincidence, yeah.
That's really freaky because that's the kind of stuff. Those are freak accidents, and the fact that it happened to you and your mom is like amazing.
Yeah, so I don't let my daughter have sharp things.
Yeah, ever. Oh wow, Shirley, thank you.
Wow.
Sorry about your finger, by the way, but that's a really interesting coincidence, don't you think?
Wow.
I know.
Your mom cuts off a finger, and you cut off a finger too.
The same finger
Wow.
by accident. I know, it's weird.
Family should stay away.
Was
from
it this
everything.
finger?
I think it's this one.
No, you're number one.
That would suck if this finger got cut off.
You need that finger.
How can I wave goodbye?
I was going to say, you can't drive without that finger.
I know.
You could not get down the road without that finger.
I know.
Hi, Jesse. How are you?
Hey, what's up? How are you?
I'm pretty good. Now, what's a weird coincidence that happened to you?
Well, it's really weird. I was on vacation, and I was having breakfast. I was eating a bowl of Quaker oats, and amazingly enough, former First Lady Barbara Bush walked by.
Who looks just like the person on the box.
Right. So I went and bought her a beer. It was really weird.
Then you walked into a bar, and everybody went, Ken!
Yeah, it was weird. And then, oddly enough, we had both sawed off the same finger. So...
And then you found out you were distant cousins.
Yeah, it was the weirdest thing.
But then some youngins were breaking in your house at home.
Yeah, it's amazing how everything ties together.
And the guys breaking into the house are from South Dakota.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Jesse, you rock. You're so funny. That was hysterical.
And everybody's related to that dude from Footloose.
Right. Oh, my God, that's hysterical. That may be my favorite call we've ever had. I love Jesse. Oh, my God. So now, Sarah, you had a weird coincidence, right, Sarah?
Yeah.
And yours is a MySpace-oriented one, so I need to hear this. I know.
Yeah. About 6 months ago, I was on MySpace, and I was thinking of random names from people I knew in elementary school. And one of them, she was kind of a best friend, but then she kind of did the turn your back on her thing and never heard from her again. Well, about 5 years later, I'm on MySpace, and I'm like, hey, I'll just look up this person's name, which I had done it a couple times before. Well, this time a MySpace popped up, and it was about the right age for the person, but it didn't have any pictures on it. I was like, okay, well, I wonder if that's her. Well, I didn't think about it, and a few days later I get a message, and it's from the person I was looking for, and it turns out the MySpace that I was on was hers. She just hadn't put pictures up yet.
No way.
No.
That's freaky. And coincidence. Yeah. You get both freaky and coincidence for that one.
Yeah.
And now you've completely confused Anthony because we've told him that freaky and coincidence are different, but that's freaky and coincidence.
Now, is Cooper a friend of yours on MySpace?
No.
Oh, please, friend.
Sarah!
Sarah, come on, Sarah. What are you waiting for?
Do it now.
Sarah's picky about her friends.
Right now, so.
Yeah, Sarah doesn't let just anybody be her friend on MySpace.
No, I only have like 38 people as my friends.
Yeah, see, she's very picky. She's not going to have the likes of us.
She's one of those.
She's not going to waste her time with us.
Okay.
Because then I'll send her stuff, and she doesn't be bothered, you know.
Right.
Yeah, but thank you, Sarah.
Send you
Thank you.
87 bulletins that I'm going to be on TV again.
Oh, I've given
Does
up
she
on
send
that.
those?
Oh, yeah.
Not
Oh,
anymore.
I-
Not anymore. I'm bored of it. I don't even tell you guys anymore. I don't even tell
Are you
when
on
I'm
tonight?
She's on TV right now. There's a camera crew. Don't you see the camera crew over there?
Shut up. I'll be on tomorrow, though.
Are you really?
Yes, I'm on tomorrow. I'm on a new show tomorrow. A show I've never been on before tomorrow.
Well, Home Shopping Network?
I wish.
Pushing shoes?
that would be the dream job for me.
Then you could die.
Yeah, on Home Shopping, selling my dog shoes.
Right.
Yeah. Hi, Bernard. How are you?
Just fine, Cooper. Love the show.
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet. Thank you. Now, what's a weird coincidence? What's an odd coincidence that happened to you?
Well, I guess it happened to everybody. To not to spoil a party, but on the first, I'm originally from New York, so
I couldn't tell by the accent, Bernard.
yeah, you got it. Thank you. More beer. Thank you very much.
More beer over here.
Okay, over here. That's right. And everybody is laughing at me down here. On the
I
first,
love him.
for all your number players, 3 digits, 4 digits lottery, on the first anniversary of 9/11, on 9/11, the number was 911.
No.
You're kidding.
Guaranteed, you can look it up. Now,
I had no idea. That's amazing. That's an incredible
It's
coincidence.
freaky. It's freaky.
It's freaky and a coincidence again.
How many people won that day?
Well, hopefully not too many because you wouldn't play 9/11 on 9/11. But some people did win, and they said they weren't going to collect and give it to charity and stuff like that.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's good. I'm glad they said that they were going to give it to charity. That's nice.
Of course. So that's about it.
That's freaky. Bernard, thank you. And thank you for calling and telling us that. That's a real coincidence. That's really wacky. So, Anthony,
And
have
it's
you
a
learned?
coincidence that Cooper's from New York
and
Bernard's from New York. And I was able to talk New York with him.
Right.
It was great.
And
I
he
loved
talked,
it.
And he talked numbers.
We talk numbers, yeah.
Oh.
Forget about it.
Yeah, forget about it. So, Anthony, do you understand now? Have you
Do
learned
you have any more
something?
famous ones before we have like a minute?
Oh, any more famous ones?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a couple of them on here. This one is one of my favorites. A falling baby was saved twice by the same man.
No, where did he fall from?
In Detroit.
The sky?
From the sky. In Detroit in the 1930s, a young mother, obviously very careless.
Needs to be a law.
I know. There was a guy named Joseph Figlock, and he was walking down the street. The mother's baby fell out the window onto this guy, Figlock, and the baby's fall was broken because he fell onto the guy. So both the man and the baby were unharmed. So, stroke of luck. But a year later, the very, very same window, the kid was playing again, and Joseph Figlock, walking by the same window again, the baby falls out the window a year later.
No.
Onto the same guy.
You're lying.
No, I'm not
They
lying.
need to put a trampoline down there, not Joseph Friero, whatever his name is.
Joseph Figlock. It's Mysteries of the Unexplained this is from. Some of these are really weird coincidences. That's one of them.
What's another one?
Another
Need a
one.
trampoline.
Let me give you something a little more recent. Let's see. I wasn't prepared. I thought we were
Chad
going to
was
move
in
on.
South Dakota and he ran into somebody from Hawaii.
Right.
No!
It's amazing.
I'm so confused now.
Well, here's one. Twin brothers were killed on the same road 2 hours apart. In 2002, 70-year-old twin brothers died within hours of one another on separate accidents on the same road in North Finland.
Wow, that's coincidence.
Okay, see, that's freaky.
That's a freaky coincidence.
Okay. Oh, so there's different types.
And then, here's a famous one. Mark Twain and Halley's Comet. Have you heard this? Mark Twain was born on the day of the appearance of Halley's Comet in 1835. He died on the day of its next appearance in 1910. And he himself predicted in 1909, he said, I came in with Halley's Comet in 1835. I'm going out with it. And he did.
Wow.
Yeah, see, those are weird coincidences.
Okay, I get
those
it
are some
now.
famous ones. You get the concept?
Hopefully there won't be a test tomorrow.
There might be.
No.
I'll give you this to take home and study.
Okay.
And then you'll have to re-listen to the show because I'm going to test you on what Ken said.
Okay.
Okay.